All right, so let's kick this off. Okay, so welcome everyone to the, gosh, it's already October 2024 Power BI / Fabric user group meeting from Austin, Texas. I just want to thank you for attending tonight. We've got a special guest speaker, Alex Powers is with us. So the master himself on Power Query, DAX folding and fabrication and all that good stuff. So he's going to be talking to us about AI-powered experiences with Power Query. So welcome, Alex. Thanks for joining us. So after his presentation, we'll go through some drawings like we typically do in our meetings. So we'll have Enterprise DNA subscription drawings and Radicat as well. And then we'll talk about our next meetup for next month as well at the end of the discussion tonight. So just some announcements, resources. So we do have our YouTube site. We've got all of our videos posted up there from our meetings this year. And this one will be up there as well. We have a repository in GitHub, GitHub for materials and presentations that will be available for people to access the presentations from our meetings as well. So you can find us on Meetup, LinkedIn, and Twitter as well. So that's what that slide's all about, is connections with us and how you can connect with us. And so this is kind of Alex's, just an overview of Alex's presentation. So just, your bio, Alex, as you work for Microsoft, you're a program manager out there. You're part of the FabricCat team. So I know you're big in the community. A lot of people know you. You're well known. So it's just a treat for us to be able to have you tonight to speak for our group. So I'll let you go through your session description here, and I'll kind of hand things over to you to take it over. And as far as questions go, do you prefer questions during your presentation or in the chat, or how would you like us to manage that for you?
Oh my goodness. If someone sees something and it could solve a problem that you're dealing with, please jump in, come off mute. We'd love to kind of hear from you, especially if we can connect those dots. If it's just general excitement, you wanted to share like a GIF, maybe some comments in the chat. If anything kind of jumps out to you, Mike, please feel free to kind of interject or stop me. But otherwise, if you've seen me before, I'm very interactive. And I'm ready to take over the screen if you're done. So let me do that,
Yep.
and then I will kick off a little video here. I'll come back on. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, welcome everyone. It's so good to be back. I love hanging out here with the Austin group. Just always a fun time, a lot of good energy. I'm still getting acclimated here to the Central Standard Time just from being away at FabCon Europe, talking to everyone, seeing what they're up to. And of course, just everything Copilot, everything AI, everywhere, just all at once here. And for me, it's a little bit of like the previous generation too, where people have been like, there's AI experiences within Power Query that you're not even using today to their full capabilities. That doesn't require Copilot or doesn't require licensing kind of change here. So I'm really excited for this topic. Just kind of showcase a little bit of everything today. So with that, welcome everyone to using AI-powered experiences within Power Query. My name, Alex Powers, located in St. Louis, Missouri. So I'm just a little north of you here. For those located in the Texas area, my professional background has been truly just the citizen's journey. So love Excel, absolutely used it all the time. Whatever kind of the add-in started popping in for like Power Pivot or Power Query, I was like, oh my goodness, like this is changing everything. I don't have to use a VBA anymore. Of course, attended a dashboard in a day, changed my life. I said, oh my gosh, I'm not going back to the way that I used to do things with Excel. I really think that this new Power BI thing could change a lot for me. And then from there, probably like a lot of you have experienced, you start getting access to databases and things that, were traditionally maybe a little bit outside of your reach. They say, hey, here's the cloud, go play around with it, see what's up there. And then of course, now here, just more and more things added with Microsoft Fabric. So if you're like, hey, I don't know where I belong here with this crazy notebook, Lakehouse stuff, we've tried to make it as simple as possible. So especially if you're like from the Power BI background now, it's the same workspace that you're used to. It's the same new item creation that you're used to up in the web. You absolutely have a place here. So that's why I really enjoy hanging out with these user groups. And then of course, as I sit here with my management and they're like, where do you want to go in the next 5 years? I don't know. I'm just going on autopilot. This whole Copilot thing, I think we're all just trying to figure out the pieces and where we all kind of fit But I always encourage anyone, like, start playing around at least like 5 or 10 minutes a day, see what sticks, see what doesn't, and then kind of carry that forward to the next day. Just because a lot of these things will change the way that we're working now. So I like using it for kind of a creative technical writing. And then of course, if I'm just, writing some random sentences, I just say, hey, make me sound a little bit smarter there. So just fun ways to kind of play around with the Copilots and GPT. Personal though, I don't want you to leave today thinking I'm an absolute robot and all it is technology. I love my cats. It's so incredibly nice to see them again. I love my pro wrestling. It was actually on last night, so tonight's even better. I get to hang out and just nerd out, just kind of turn my brain off here and just enjoy tech with like-minded folks. And then data for me is just the world's greatest Tetris puzzle. So it's one of my absolute favorites here to talk about. I'm a bit of a coleslaw connoisseur, so if I see it on the menu, I'm absolutely ordering it. I might be a little bit more light vinegar based as opposed to mayonnaise as I've aged here, but I accept all. I'm willing to try anything. So, wherever you fall in that spectrum, just let me know. And then, of course, for me, Power Query everything. You'll see it all over the socials. I think it's so cool. It's such a cool tool there. And then for me, it kind of changed my life, changed my career. So as much as I can kind of inspire folks with just like, oh my gosh, data integration, data preparation, it's so important to everything else. Once the data is right, once it's shaped correctly, everything else just kind of gets unlocked. So past that, though, I do want to leave one just quick reminder here for those who are kind of with friends or family in kind of the storm areas, just reach out to them, kind of check in, make sure that they're all right. Got some family down in that area too. So it's always just like top of mind here. So hopefully, just reach out. People appreciate that. For today's agenda, though, Copilot for Data Factory. This is kind of that big announcement that we've made here, just generative AI here now with data integration. So especially as we kind of go through some of the demos, just like how I'm thinking about it from like a professional side, and then also how I think about it from like a new user getting started side, like how should they be approaching the use of the technology, and then just the smart data preparation that has existed within Power Query for some time. How do you take advantage of it if you don't have access to GPT? If you still want to use AI to get your work done, there are some amazing capabilities here already within the application. Start leveraging them. All right, so first and foremost, Copilot for Data Factory was announced as general availability at FabCon Europe. So if you need that GA label to start using the technologies, my goodness, ready to go here for you. With that, just within Data Flows Gen 2, so this is up in the web service. So if you're using Microsoft Fabric today, Copilot is enabled for that, not available within Power BI Data Flows, kind of that Gen 1, or within Power BI Desktop yet. That is a big plan that the team want to bring the Power Query experience to Power BI Desktop, to Excel's desktop, to Power Apps. They've got data flows. Who else has data flows? Business Central. This Copilot could be in like 12 different products that host Power Query, which is like why I'm so excited. So even if you're not doing business intelligence, if it's more of a spreadsheet, my goodness, how could this help you? Just with that data integration, data preparation, no matter where you're kind of working. And then from here, again, we'll just launch into that within the demo. The skills for me, which are most important, to kind of have an understanding, what can it do today? Where is it hopefully going in the future? Especially as like just new technology, new prompts are kind of developed, just allowing us to kind of do more and more. So for today, it allows you to create new transformations. So maybe it's a single step in your operation where you just think, hey, add a new step here to the very end of my my existing query. Or for someone like me who's like, okay, I could do that through the UI. I could do that through the kind of the points and clicks here. How could I make myself develop faster by chaining my activities together? So instead of one prompt to do something, I could have it do 3 different UI-based activities all in one go. So chaining multiple transformations together to accelerate my development just as a pro user. Creating a new query out of thin air. Hey, Copilot, go ahead and build me that calendar table, build me that 445 calendar table, pull all the states out for the 50 United States, FIPS codes, whatever it is, just being able to kind of add those prompts. Explanations here. So whether it be a single step, hey, what was this crazy complex step doing? Break it down for me, just reading that Power Query in the formula bar, that crazy syntax that me and others love. Or it's like the full query from top to bottom. What is each step kind of here within my my query? What is it doing? So if you're taking over ownership of someone else's work, they're out for the day, they're out on a long week, vacation, whatever it may be. What in the world was it that they were building? Hey, Copilot, just go ahead and explain this for me from top to bottom. Oh, awesome. I kind of now understand here where they started, where they ended up, and why they were doing the things that they were doing. Whew. So those are some of the available skills today. With that, I want to kind of jump into an actual demo here. So we're going to go out into the service. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera just so you can fully concentrate here on the presentation. But let me go. And then I'll ask for confirmation that you can kind of see the screen now as well.
Yes, yep, we can see it.
Awesome. Well, let's try here. I'm going to go and zoom in here. And then if you need any assistance, just let me know here if I need to kind of zoom in or zoom out just at various portions. Cool. So I'm now in data flow. So again, this is the Gen 2 data flows that now exist within Microsoft Fabric. If you've not seen kind of the online data flow experience, it's the updated Power Query ribbon here. All the buttons likely in the exact same positions as you recall. They're just new. They're modern. They look like Office 365 experiences. So again, if you're using Power BI Desktop today, these icons should look very familiar, just like Office, just like all these other applications. But with that, I want to go ahead and start out here with using that Copilot button here on the right-hand side. And then we'll go ahead and see this pop out now. So just what would you like to do? You don't have anything here. We could start with getting data, just launching that get data window, or we also have the starter prompts. So getting data, add a step that, or kind of describing this query. My first one though, I want to go ahead and include just this little description here. And if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in just so you can see that I'm not pulling any tricks. And then Clint, thanks for joining, man. I love seeing, he's one of our engineers building the tool. So it's cool that he was able to join tonight. From 2007 and goes to current date. Include lots and lots of columns to better analyze data with. Cool. That's the secret magic word, lots and lots of columns. All right, let's see what Copilot can do. We're working on it. Let's get this bar here, Clint. So we're asking Copilot to build us a calendar table from 2007 all the way to our current date. Lots and lots of columns. Let's see what we can come up with. Oh, I'm getting worried.
Well, it's just a
still
question.
working on it.
So, do you need I don't know if you do, but do you need a specific SKU, like a particular SKU to use Copilot for Power Query? Or
yeah, at least for kind of the actual Copilot integration, it does require a F64 or a P1 equivalent in terms of a licensing, and it's not currently available through trial licensing either. So if you're using the kind of Fabric trials.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike, for the question there. Cool. So Copilot, my goodness, what did it do? It created what, 25? Oh my gosh, let me get rid of some of these blank lines just because I can't count that high. It created from 2 to 22. It created over 20 steps for us. Could you imagine how long that would have taken us to point and click each one of these things? And then did it go to the current date? Because we added that requirement, current date. So it has this dynamic thing. So tomorrow when this thing runs again, it'll be 10:10. The next day it'll be 10:11, 10:12, 10:13. Oh my goodness. So it's now built a dynamic calendar for us as well. All these columns built for us. This would have taken us the full hour. If we were to say, hey, let's use Power Query and build a calendar table tonight as our user group session, this would have taken us like 45 minutes. Click the button, wait for it to spin, click the button, wait for it to spin, click the button, wait for it to spin. All done, single prompt. How much time do we probably save? Quite a bit. I talked about like the richness of AI, kind of this Azure OpenAI technology as well. I have to think like what else is out here? If it's able to help me do this task, maybe if I had another one here, create a new table that lists all the US states and their capital cities. Let's try this one. So like in the last example here, lots and lots of columns. Hey, I've been told this GPT Copilot thing is incredibly smart and it's got all this crazy stuff out here. I'm going to let it come up with the imagination. Just like in this example, U.S. states. I didn't tell it that there was 50 states. I didn't define what a capital city was. Oh my goodness. It was able to return these for us. So 50 states, doesn't include DC. It's got all of the capitals here as well. All right, so I'm thinking about my work process here. If I needed to do this in kind of a regular task within one of my data sets, I say, all right, I need to go grab a state table. I need to go jump out of Power Query. I need to go to a web browser. I need to use my favorite search engine of all time, Bing, bing.com. I need to type in US capitals, rich HTML table that's formatted with TRs and TDs and all the other fun codes. I then hope that it works. I then come back to Power Query. I do get data from web. I then have to web scrape that page to make sure, again, that that table is clean, maybe a little bit of formatting. That would take me, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. But here with Copilot, again, like we did it, returned it here, kind of we're looking at the timestamps, less than what, 10, 20 seconds, kind of waiting for that to return. All right, so this is the real smell test that I always say. I'm gonna zoom in here one more time if you don't mind. Let's describe, create a new query that lists all the Taylor Swift albums and their year of release. All right, Copilot, let's see what you got here. We're creating that new query, creating that new table here. We're testing Copilot. We're seeing what it's got here. Okay. So Taylor Swift 2006, Fearless 2008, Speak Now 2010, all these different albums titles, Evermore 2020. Oh my goodness. Mike, if you need to kick me out of the room, I completely understand. This AI thing is wrong. After 2020, she's released like 10, 15 more albums, I think. Absolutely, you should not trust this.
I'm not going to kick you out of the room. It's cool.
Yeah. So again, in like this example, it's trust but verify, right? Like, hey, we tried something. It wasn't quite what we're looking for. We can now discard our results, but hey, we've got in the data preview grid. It's not quite accurate. It wasn't quite what we were looking for. We can either type in undo over here, or we can just press it right directly on the card. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. So again, just as we're playing around with AI, as we're trying things out, we tried something. Hey, it was exactly what we're looking for. We tried another thing, not quite. Let's go ahead and undo. We can remove steps. We can remove the entire query, whatever it is. Just again, it's kind of that trust but verify here, kind of within the results. But let's go ahead and jump out of kind of these examples. Let's jump into a little bit more of a kind of a real world here with kind of multiple tables. So I'm going to remove this one. So we've got some cool stuff. We've got some really cool stuff. Power Query everything. Let me try Power Query everything. I think so. This one, they have some really good stuff. Awesome, it does. All right, so we've got our Copilot pane here on the right-hand side. We're looking at some data. I've got this customers right here. I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of a few of these things here, if you don't mind, just so we can get back to a kind of a clean table. Awesome.
Is there any way to increase the precision? You know, like you're getting the data and it was not right, but can you prompt it again to Copilot saying that to increase the...
Yeah, so I love the question here, just in terms of like kind of retrying different results. I'll say in that example that we just did, it's kind of up to the model version that we're using. So underneath the covers, that one is GPT like 3.5, which I believe only went up to like March 2020. Clint, maybe keep me honest there. So as new models come out, as they have more enhancements, what is it, like 4.0 mini or something else that's kind of been released now, those would have a more up-to-date knowledge base, where this one was kind of limited to that 2020 year. But absolutely, like as you're trying different things, adjust the prompt, see if it works. Let me try a few more here just through the course of the demo. And then if you see something that jumps out, like type it in the chat and I'll copy and paste and I'll throw it in here just so we can kind of test and play around with things. But for right now, I want to kind of look at this like through the lens of I've never used Power Query. I have no idea what this thing is. I have my data. I know the task that's been assigned to me. I really just want to kind of focus on getting this thing done as quickly as possible without kind of the ramp up time of education, learning my way around the kind of navigation buttons here with all the different things going on. So in my task here, I only need married customers. So I'm going to go ahead and say only keep married customers. It's right there in the very bottom. So staring at our query, I'm not giving it exacts. I've never used Power Query before. Power Query and kind of the Copilot here, instantly able to recognize that I'm looking for a filter condition. So only keep customers. So I'm limiting my results. And then if I was to kind of take a look here, and then let me do one thing if you don't mind. I'm going to go ahead and turn on step scripting call out. Awesome. And then we'll see it here in a little bit too. So in my script here for this step, it determined that the correct column is marital status. And if we look back at our previous results, we had M and we had S. I didn't tell it that married equals M or single equals S. It was able to go through, kind of determine, well, which column kind of married for marital status and matching that, then also understanding kind of the key code here. So again, I'm a new user. I've never used Power Query before, but I'm able to get my work done. I'm going to try another one here. So in this example, I'm going to say separate the login by username and company. Let's go ahead and submit this one. Let's see what this can do.
And whenever you're using
Yeah.
Copilot with Data Factory, the storage, data storage has to be the one leg, or can it be something else?
No, yeah, I haven't written to anything yet here in terms of data destinations. So if we want to write this to Lakehouse, if we want to write it to Warehouse, Event House, Azure SQL Database, Azure Synapse, whatever it be, it has no tie-in to your data destinations. So you're fine there.
Okay, good. Databricks,
Awesome.
like Azure did Databricks or anything.
Yeah, unfortunately, Databricks isn't a current destination, but whenever those kind of get added in the future, absolutely. There's no tie-in here with the data destinations or sources. It's purely just whatever's in the grid that you're kind of looking at here. Cool. So let's look at this example here then. So separate the login by username and company. It was able to return a split column function here. I just turned on that label. So again, now I have the formula here listed. Kind of pulling back here. So the script was, I'm looking at the email address column, and then I'm going to split it here by the delimiter, the text by delimiter. I didn't tell it anything about delimiters. I didn't tell it anything about the email address column. It was able to intelligently split that, and then it also gave me a proper casing here for the column name titles. So again, in this example, I don't know anything about Power Query. I know the work and I know the task that needs to get done. I just, again, think about this from like the concept of, I hang out with my mom on Thursdays. She's like, I've got this data from work. I want to use Power Query, and trying to explain to her how to navigate around the UI. She can get her work done here. Just using her own natural language. She doesn't have to type in the delimiter. She doesn't have to type in the @ symbol. What's the task you're trying to complete? Can Copilot go ahead and recognize that for you? Cool. So let me try another one here then, if you don't mind. I'm going to go and copy this, just kind of save me a little bit of keystrokes. So I've got this kind of this education column here. And ask Copilot, add a step that filters education where partial college, bachelor's or graduate degree. Let's go ahead and submit this. Let's go ahead and submit this, working on it. Oh my gosh, this is getting faster, Clint. I love it. I see the filter icon again. So, I'm starting to learn Power Query. So I recognize on the card, filter rows. Maybe next time I don't need to use Copilot. Maybe I see it right here in the filter rows. Maybe I kind of use the search here at the very top to kind of look for that filter rows. Gives me, again, kind of that navigation path. I'm starting to learn the application just using Copilot now. More importantly, though, I'm going to go into the settings cog. Let's count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 different field wells that we would have had to click on. So point and click this one, make sure we select the correct column. Point and click this one, make sure we select the correct operator, the value. And then remember, if we do and or, I can never remember on the first go. So I'm glad that Power Query and the Copilot got this right. But this saved me 11 different clicks. Able to do this all through a single prompt. So even as like a professional developer, I'm now accelerating my development by not having to click on 11 different boxes. Whew, that's getting pretty cool. So what else can we do? Let me try this one. Keep the top 10 customers by, what do we have here? I think we had a occupation type. I'm going to do top 3, just change a little bit. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I don't know about that. Well, I don't know about this prompt. I'm gonna have to trust but verify here. Grouped rows, table first 3, occupation, remove columns. I don't know what this thing is doing. I don't trust it though. I'm undoing. That is not what I was looking for. Get out of here. Whew. All right. We tried something. It didn't work. We went ahead and undo. I'm going to see if I can't find a good prompt though for us. Just because that one is a fun one. All right. Maybe I'll come back to it. Let's try another one then here. Only keep rows where the income is above the median value. One more here. Awesome. So in this example, wrote a custom function here for us. I'm going to go ahead and unroll this here for the audience. If you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and remove this kind of nesting here. We're actually working on updating this, so you won't see this in the future, which would be pretty cool. Awesome. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom out here and use kind of our kind of the diagram view. So in this example, Copilot was able to write us a scalar value kind of here with this list.median to find that result. So I was able to use this list.median function. So it's navigating us a little bit off the beaten path here within Power Query. So it's no longer linear. And then it uses that scalar value to pass it back through to a filter here in this last condition. So this yearly income is greater than my median income. Again, it's chained 2 different commands for me. It's actually doing complex things here by kind of diverging a little bit from our navigation path. So it's not top to bottom. We can branch off a little bit. We can go left, we can go right, and go top to bottom. And then it brought it all back together here in this last step. So it's not just like the simple things where it's, well, can you do a filter? Can you do a split? It's the complex things here, like, hey, go find me this median result. Go find me the top 3, limit it, kind of do multi-chain, kind of that chaining of multiple conditions here. Even writing this would have taken me a little bit of time in the formula bar, a little bit of time in the UI. Again, even the complex stuff. Now I'm able to kind of accelerate my development time here with Power Query. And at the very end, you've taken over this work from this crazy Power Query person, Alex Powers. Like, what in the world are you building, Alex? Have Copilot describe it for you. So let's go ahead and look at the top description here. Here's an explanation. Load the customer data, filtering by marital status, education level, and then kind of the income above median. All right, so at a high level here, that's what that query is describing. Within my different steps here, so I'm loading the dim customer CSV. Here's the chain column type, yes. Filtering rows where marital status equal to M. Awesome, I didn't have to hover. Splitting columns by that delimiter here. Filtering rows, calculating median yearly income, and then filtering rows here again. That's pretty cool. What I would also like to do, though, if I had my magic wand with Clint here, I'd probably be like, document all this for me, Copilot. Oh, I got a couple more here at the very bottom. 2 more. 2 more. Alt. Document, please. Okay. Can it rename steps easily? Not currently, so it can't rename steps. That's still something done through the UI. And this is kind of a discussion here for the user group. Like, I love these descriptions. It's very high level. It makes sense for me. At the very bottom left here, just like that undo button, I want to have a add to query button. I just want to document my entire query. I get no joy or no satisfaction documenting my work. I'm sorry. But if a Copilot could do it, if GPT could do it for me, oh my goodness. The parts that I need help with from you, kind of as the community, is like, what's helpful documentation? Like, if you committed all these, would that be helpful? Or do you kind of say, well, that's great, but I really need like internal business logic here that I need to inject of why we're doing this for the business purpose. What are your thoughts there as it relates to documentation? Would this be sufficient, or do you think something else? Because again, I don't want to commit all these documentation steps for you, and then you have to kind of go through and manually clean them up yourself. Like that wouldn't be a great experience either. What are your thoughts there? I'll pause there, Mike. What's the consensus?
Sure. Yeah. Any thoughts from anybody about that?
We'll defer to
My
the
thought
group here.
is, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mike. I'll
I
hear
was
from
just
others.
gonna say that the more it can document for us, the better. I mean, that's that's my preference, of course.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thought process here too. Again, like this top level description, load customer data. So if I was to go to properties here, if it was to say load customer data, comma, filter by marital status, comma, don't worry about the spelling. Like if it was able to commit all of that documentation for me at the query level and then also the individual step level, oh my goodness, absolutely. Like please, Copilot, do all that for me. I want to make sure that people have an easy exit though. Yeah, go ahead.
I was also thinking like just num records. Like we started with a huge query of 10,000 rows. We started filtering down, and now we have 2,000 rows. I don't know, some like broad aggregate.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe even like the start of the query, kind of the shape of it, and kind of your end. It's almost like adding a little bit of data quality in there.
A little bit like that, yeah.
Interesting. Awesome. I like that. I like that. And then, of course, if we just go back to your, so describe the filtered rows step. So let's just kind of target this single step here. Working on it. Cool. Here's an explanation for filter rows in the kind of query. Filters rows where the early income is greater than the median. So it's a lot more descriptive than the previous. Hey, I'm cool to document all the things that are extremely important and need well-detailed, well-defined internal descriptions. For something like this, hey, here's a step. That's the only thing I need to really have documented. Awesome. Again, what I want to advocate for is just a button here at the very bottom left that says add to query. And then we automatically inject this here for you, so you didn't have to write it. But again, the things I don't want is injecting documentation that is not meaningful for you. So make noise. Let us know what good documentation looks like. I love kind of Sean's comments where he's like, hey, maybe like a little bit of data quality would be extremely helpful too. Those kind of things would be amazing. Awesome, Jack.
Good questions in the chat too, Alex.
Yes.
One is, I don't know if you've seen them. You might have seen them. One's from Sean, one's from Jack. Yeah.
Yeah. So at least on renaming steps, not currently available yet in terms of renaming. Still something for the UI that you can kind of just do manually here. That is something we're kind of looking into, is just having more meaningful names as well. If we were to kind of scroll up here just a little bit to like the previous examples, filter rows, split columns out. That's the exact title would be if you clicked it through the UI. Filter rows 1, because we already had a filter rows before. If we add another filter rows 2, should Copilot rename those steps for you to make them more meaningful? I don't know. Again, like what is most beneficial for you, where you're like, I want GPTs to do that, versus, hey, I really want to kind of document this myself. So I would probably do like filter rows based on education levels. Like, again, I don't know. That's why I love these user groups. If you document and then come back and make a change, have it update the documentation or show you that a change is made and the documentation is not updated. Woo! Man, there's a lot in there. If you document and then come back. Maybe I'll ask you there, Fernando, is it more of you've written something yourself and you don't want GPT to overwrite it? Do not overwrite this important comment. Let us know your thoughts, or if you want to come off chat and kind of expand on it.
Yes, but if I make really a change or change the sequence of transformations or add a new step, then it doesn't have documentation or a comment. So a way to tell me, would you like to comment this change or update the comments, something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. and this is something that we thought about as well, is what if we didn't document anything for you? What if it was an on hover event? Just like you're seeing here on the card as we kind of hover.
Automatically.
And
that
then
would be perfect.
Yes, because documentation is stale the moment it's written. So imagine as you hover above this, you have a Copilot explanation automatically that says, this step means this thing. Would that be more impactful for you? Would that be more impactful for you, Fernando?
Yes, of course.
Awesome.
When is that happening?
Well, I'll ask Clint here. We'll see if we can't talk with the team about it, but we love kind of that vote of confidence. And then, again, that's just an idea that we've kind of had bouncing around as well. Is just, is documentation even helpful, or does it just become stale and you're kind of worried as you move things around up and down, left and right, like maybe the order and the descriptions are no longer meaningful? Would that just make more kind of better sense for everyone? But now that I've broken my query, let me bring things down.
There's another good one here, Alex,
Awesome.
from Jack, about if the source was applicable, could you ask Copilot to not break the fold?
Yes. So absolutely, Jack. Out of that current skills list that we had just talked about, not supported yet, but that's something I've been working with the team on quite a bit, is can Copilot refactor my queries? So you're working through with a foldable source. At a certain point, query folding is broken. Hey, Copilot, go ahead and fix my query. And then it can reorder steps where it can kind of ensure that you maintain folding for as long as possible and get you back to that query folding state again. We have those flags here with these status folding indicators. Like, oh my goodness, that would be a tremendous skill for us to have. Something we're working on. I love hearing kind of that question within the chat. Definitely gives us kind of that vote of confidence that we're working in the right direction. But query refactoring, absolutely. Help me optimize my query, make it faster, make sure I don't break folding. Is there anything I can do here to improve? Again, like using GPT for code refactoring, applying best practices, whatever it is you're kind of playing around with today. We want to bring that here to Power Query as well. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jack, for kind of using that one as an awesome example. And I'm going to try and find here. Cool. Awesome. So I love my DBA friends. They're always yelling at me every time I connect out to a database. They've got these strong upper cases for all of the column names. Of course, my business users, they don't, that's too much. Why are we so aggressive? Why are we always yelling? I want Copilot to do the tedious things that I don't get any enjoyment out of. Again, I don't like documenting things. An awesome kind of use case here. A tedious thing like renaming columns, rename my columns by replacing the underscore. Let me move my mouse here with spaces and making the text proper case. All right, fingers crossed, working on it. Let's see here. Let's see. Awesome. Added the new step here for me. Proper casing now. Underscore was removed. Store space key, store space manager, store space type, store name. Oh my goodness, how many columns are there? Again, at like the end of a long day, I'm not sitting on the couch telling the wife, you should have seen me today. I must have renamed like 600 columns. I was in the zone. I double clicked, I hit space. No enjoyment. A perfect task. The tedious things that we don't enjoy. Let's outsource it. Copilot did that for us in what? 5, 8 seconds? Like, I love these little things. Even as a professional developer, thinking about, okay, how can I accelerate my development just so I don't have to kind of do the tedious task anymore? Cool. All right, let me try one more here then. DIM employees, I'm going to need some help from folks. I don't know what this thing means, but if you do, I will be extremely impressed. I only want to keep employees whose phone number area code is in the North American Numbering Plan, so the NANP for Northeastern Kansas. I have no idea what this means. Let's go ahead and hit send. Working on it. So if you were in the Northeastern area code in 785 or 913 in Kansas, I've now been able to limit it to just those rows. using Copilot. Again, leaving my authoring experience, having to go to a browser, my favorite search engine, Bing.com, typing in the NANP for the Northeastern Kansas region. Copilot. This incredible knowledge base that's out there. Like, hey, 50 states, this crazy Taylor Swift thing that we tried testing, area codes. What else could we type in here? We've seen it do a 22-step calendar table. Like, your imagination is your limit here. What's working? Of course, if it doesn't work, just discard it and try something new. But throw different prompts at this thing. Again, like, me and Clint are so excited because we don't know what's out here. We don't know what's possible. But coming to groups like this and just like, oh my gosh, your question was so cool. Let's try this. That's where we can really have some fun. Whew. Let's decompress here just a little bit. So I want to make sure we get into smart data prep. Just the natural built-in capabilities. But I want to pause first. What questions or comments do you have with respect to Copilot and maybe like the Power Query integration? Or was that like the first time you've kind of seen it done live? No edits, that wasn't recorded. We were just typing away. What are your thoughts?
It's the first time I've seen it. Sandeep wants to know, has Copilot taken the 30-day query folding challenge yet?
I have used that as a method for training it for the query refactoring, Sandeep. So you'll be very excited to know that all the amazing things that we've been doing and documenting in terms of foldable or non-foldable steps, that will absolutely be fed into kind of all the cool stuff that we want to bring to Copilot. But that's so amazing that you kind of called that out. All right, so again, I just want to hit home on some of the things that we saw. We used prompts that didn't use any of the button titles, that weren't using any of the descriptive terms like delimiters and splitting by, still able to get a task done. On the card, it had the icons, it had some of the terminology. So tomorrow, as I start learning the application, hey, maybe I'll start stepping away from Copilot. I don't have to use it all the time for some of the simple stuff. The UI is amazing. Tomorrow, though, I've learned a little bit more about Power Query. I'm attending user group sessions like this. I'm buying the books. I'm taking the courses. I really want to start thinking about how can I, as like a professional developer now, how can I accelerate my own time and my own development using Copilot and GPT? Rename columns instantly. Gave it kind of that complex problem with that list.median. I was able to recognize that value, kind of branch off a little bit, bring it back in. Having it do like 11 different clicks and kind of that field well for the filtering, like, I only have so many clicks before I pass away. So I've really got to consider thinking about how I spend them. Just an awesome thing there from Scott Henselman. I'll share the website afterwards, but simple users, first time getting started for inexperienced folks, amazing, up and running. Complex things for folks like us, kind of more of it on the professional side. Absolutely. Like, find the ways that Copilot can help you. Whew. All right, I'm gonna come down from the generative AI thing. Let's go back to another one. Smart data prep. So this is non kind of GPT focused, but adding columns from examples. You're staring at your data. You've kind of got an idea of, hey, what is it that you want to transform it? What is it, the things you want to do? You give it a little bit of patterns. It's able to recognize this. Hopefully you've been using add columns from examples before. If not, this will be just an awesome time for us to kind of demo it and showcase it for you. This is available within Power BI Desktop and then also kind of the Power Query Online experience. Tables by examples. So especially if you're doing like web scraping, if you're like, this is an amazing web page, I would really like to bring that documentation into kind of an actual tabular format, adding tables using examples. So in this one, kind of providing it just the few different columns that we saw on that previous web page with connectors. Who's the connector? Who's the developer? Maybe what's the application? And then just providing a little bit of kind of some helpers here. So typing it out, it's going to recognize it. Awesome. Where's the pattern detection? Cool. And then the next row, we'll see it populate. Boom, done. A few different examples, figured it out. So tables by examples from the web. Another amazing one here is table by example from text or CSV. This is one of my favorite ones that I don't think enough people talk about. So you have some text or you have a CSV file, You want to get it into kind of the tabular format here. So the ID, make, model, and then also the year. Type it in. Hey, the first pattern is 1. It's a Chevrolet. Next one will be a Silverado 2500 HT extended cab. And then the year, 2001. All right, wasn't able to figure it out. 2, Suzuki, boom, done. That is an incredible example, and I'll kind of show that here live in a moment. Fuzzy merging, if you've never used this one before, the fuzzy merging one is so cool. I'll be honest, I don't talk about it enough. And it's amazing here just from like the graphical UI. And I'll show kind of how to get this thing set up as well. And I'll supply a kind of a Power Query template for anyone that wants to kind of play around with this too. But it has similarity matching. I would say if the data volumes are small, this is a really great kind of a use case. If you're really getting up into like massive data, clean it up as far upstream as possible. Like please, as much as you can do at the source, validation, in terms of like rules, like the better off your data will be downstream. But if it's something like a survey, think of like a Microsoft Forms, like spreadsheets, where it's very light in volume, fuzzy merging is just a fantastic kind of capability here. And also with the mappings. And then data profiling, we were just talking about this. It's available within desktop, available here within the Power Query Online editor too. You can look at like distinct values, null values, kind of this min-max, the value distributions as well. I really want to think about how we can bring this into that Copilot experience, just like we were kind of talking about. We're saying, here's where I started with my total row count. Here's where I finished. Like, how can we start including like a little bit more profiling information kind of into the Copilot? And then column pair suggestions. Oh my goodness, one of my favorites. Whenever you're doing merges now, in the top right-hand corner of the merge window, it'll now give you suggestions. So it'll say, hey, I looked at the 2 different schemas. I know before you had to like scroll all the way to the left and scroll all the way to the right and hope that you found the right column. No more. Top right-hand corner here will give you suggestions. I think that this one matches. This is kind of an approximate match, kind of up to you. Just product key, equal product category key. No, that one's not right, but this one is. So it's just an awesome kind of indicator. So let's get out over here. Data profiling. Awesome. Let's jump out of this query here. Do I want to exit? Yes. Smart data prep. Cool. No, I'm not worried about the gateway. Get out of your gateway. All right, from example. Create table from text CSV. What is this gateway issue? What is it yelling at me about? I don't even have a gateway. All right, give me one moment here. I'm going to jump out into another query. Awesome, this one works. Cool, not yelling at me. Awesome, so I'm going to use this URL here. We're going to create this table, just get data from text or CSV. I'm going to paste this URL. I can drop this here as well. It's just if anyone wanted to kind of use this one in kind of a future example. Awesome. Not in a tabular format. This thing would be ridiculous to try and write a formula to have this thing done. I see my data. I know what I want it to look like at the very end. So I'm going to start providing it some examples here. So this using table from examples. Let us know in the chat if you've used this one in the past. Loading file contents. Loading file contents. Come on, file contents. There we go. All right, ID, make, model, year. All right, that one's easy. Chevrolet. Oh my goodness, it's moving faster than me now. Model is going to be Silverado 2500 HT extended cab. And then the year is going to be that 2001. All right, saying, I'm sorry, Alex, I have no idea what you're doing. Boom, done. Second row. Typed in 2, it started doing the pattern recognition. Suzuki Grand Vitara, yes, 2000, yes, 3, 4, 5, 6. Amazing. I'm going to hit create. Okay. Again, I wasn't lying when I said I think that trying to clean that thing up would have taken us forever.
That's amazing, Alex. I had a use case just this week where that would have saved me so much time.
Yeah.
So
Again, this is a non-GPT functionality here. So
yeah. So this is just Dataflow Gen 2, any subscription,
yeah,
any Fabric.
any subscription,
Yeah,
you could be using Power BI data flows, and then it may be available on desktop. If not, maybe just do the work up in the cloud and then kind of copy and paste your queries down if you needed to. So just kind of depending upon.
how did you get there again? The table by example.
Yeah. So in text CSV, all we did was supplied our URL path. Let me go ahead and grab that again. And then in the bottom right hand corner, again, like this is so cool that it's right here. We don't talk about it enough. So connecting to data source. Here's our preview. This is what we're always used to, right? We're always like the green button, one more over.
Oh my God. Okay. I never even, okay.
Yeah. And this has been out there for a while, Sandeep. So this is again like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad that everyone was here to see this tonight. Typed in our pattern. Here's the result. Exact same here for kind of the web by example. I would need to set up a data gateway, so it's probably going to yell at me a little bit. Let me go to kind of this add customers though, if you don't mind. And then I'm going to go ahead and go back into full screen. Cool. Awesome. So let's do, this is available again within desktop. So today, column from examples, you can either do all the columns or you can just say, hey, just the two that I've selected. So especially on the big tables, if you don't want to kind of have to deal with all the kind of mismatches. So I'm going to do just from the two columns I selected here. And then what is it I want to kind of do? I want to do position. All right, so Maria Anders, awesome. And then she is a sales representative. Done. Wrote the formula for me. I don't know anything about Power Query. I don't know anything about this formula language. I know the data that I need. I typed it in. Able to instantly return this match for us. Of course, if you have very complex patterns too, type it in. It didn't get it right on the first time like we kind of saw in the other example. Provide a few more examples. Eventually it'll go, oh my goodness, I see what you're trying to do. Here's the pattern match. Here's the formula. Press OK. Move on with your day. I was able to kind of solve that problem here for us. Awesome. So column pair suggestions. I have my employees table. I've got this orders table. I want to kind of bring these two together. So my merge queries, got my orders table here. That amazing thing happened that I just talked about that I'm so excited. Top right-hand corner, that light bulb gave us a 1. I said, hey, Alex, I think based on your two schemas that there may be a detection here based on employee ID. We saw in the screenshots, it could be an approximate match. Here are some suggestions as well. On this one, it is an exact match here based on titling. But if you think about maybe some of your database tables and some spreadsheets, and maybe they're a little bit slightly different, could it still find that for you? And then as opposed to scrolling all the way to the left or scrolling all the way to the right, look at this orders. Like, where is it? It's all the way to the right-hand side, I guess. No, it's on the left. I missed it. Just think about that scrolling activity though, right? Like how many times have you had to scroll around to kind of find the right thing? Press enter. You're now joined. Amazing. Like I just love that simplification there. Fuzzy merge. Let's do this here. So I've got this questionnaire. I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit bigger here if you don't mind. Apple, APL, pineapple, my favorite, water space melon, watermelon. They misspelled it. Who created this form, right? Like, why didn't they have this exactly what I needed to know? Here are the values that I need. I've got apple, I've got pineapple, I've got watermelon, I've got banana. So these are the correct values that I want on the other side. So when I'm ready to do my analysis. And then just for some of these like misspellings where absolutely I have no idea what that thing means. I can have like a little mapping guide. So just like creating a table here, just in your create table. Maybe it's a different source, maybe it's a different spreadsheet, but let's go ahead and try this. So we'll do questionnaire. We'll do kind of that merging here. I'm going to merge this with my fruit. So here, 2 of 9 matching rows. I want to use fuzzy matching here. 8 of 9 rows. All right, so that's pretty good. Show similarity score. So like how close are they actually, kind of so I can get a little bit of readout. I know Sandeep will check the math there. Number of matches, how many should they match with? I mean, this thing needs to be 1-to-1. I'm sorry. I'm not going to have like these duplicative rows for like a little bit off. And then do I have a mapping table? So this is my favorite here. So I'm going to zoom in, select a transformation table that we use to map values, such as like this abbreviation MSFT to Microsoft. So I need to have a from column and I need to have a to column, just like we saw in the other example, that APLS was my from. What it should be turned into is the to is the apple. Somebody supplied that mapping table. 9 of 9 matching rows. Press OK. Let's go and expand this thing out. Fruit similarity score. Look at that. APLE mapped to apple. Watermelon mapped to watermelon, watermelon, watermelon. All a little different, misspelled correctly. This one crazy one that no one can figure out. Apple. And then there's my similarity scores. Exact, a little bit close, kind of here in the 90s. But is anyone using fuzzy matching today? Or is this really kind of the first time you've seen it out in the wild kind of being used? And then with that fuzzy mapping table too, with our froms and our tos. Like how helpful could that be in those times you're like, I don't have enough time to go upstream and clean it, but maybe I could use a little bit of fuzzy merging, kind of help me out here. Let's try this clustering. So again, I've got these names here. Got this person. It really, I have no idea what this form is, where we just allow people to kind of throw in a bunch of randomness. I've got my cluster mapping of what it should be here for some of these names. So if they use a kind of a shorthand here, like Mike instead of Miguel, or kind of a William and Bill, let's go and try clustering. So I'm going to go to transform. And then, I'm sorry, here we go, add column, and I'm going to do clustering values. So here's my person. I'm going to say corrected person and my fuzzy clustering options. So again, here, ignore casing. So if it's uppercase, lowercase, I don't really care. If there's some combining of text, such as micro and soft, combine that, kind of make sure that the combination is right there. Similarity scores, which we just saw again. I'll just do my transformation table though. So I'll do cluster mapping here at the very end. Press OK. Corrected person name. So all my Miguels, any kind of a shortened kind of nickname here for the Mikes, corrected there too. Williams, Bill should be Williams, Billy should be Williams, Miguel's to Miguel. Just using that clustering of values. Creating a new column that contains canonical values, clustering similar values in the selected column. None of these we use GPT for. This is all the built-in stuff that's there today for AI capabilities of Power Query. So we saw it here with that CSV or that text file by example, where it created all these crazy steps. What did we count? 2 to 13, so it created what, 11 different steps for us. That would have taken us ages to try and figure out that complex pattern. Looked at our data, typed out what the shape could be, did it for us. Column pair suggestions, it was able to recognize the matching values here for us, whether it be exact, whether it be approximate, just by looking at the schemas, kind of their differences. Fuzzy merging, like again, one of my favorites here, being able to correct maybe some dirty data that's coming in, spreadsheet, maybe it's a Microsoft form, whatever it is that doesn't have those tight controls here, able to clean it fairly instantly. And then of course the clustering of values here, just at the very end. So if we have patterns that should be recognized, should be matched, just using that. This is why I'm so excited. There's just so many capabilities here, whether it be the next generation of things with the GPT, whether it be kind of the built-in things that are available to you right now with the AI experiences, just through points and clicks. There are just so many tremendous ways to kind of get and shape your data. So with that, I just want to kind of leave everyone here with just an immense thank you so much for allowing me to share some of my interest. I hope you've heard some of my excitement here as well throughout the presentation. But my goodness, what a fantastic time it is to be in kind of data integration. And then, of course, just being a part of communities like this, allowing us a little bit of your time here to hang out, kind of share these passions with you. If a colleague wasn't able to make it, share the recording, be like, oh my goodness, you have to check this out. They did this crazy thing. If there are any questions, especially with respect to like different capabilities, happy to leave a lot of the documentation for you as well, just so you have a point of reference. And then I'll share also kind of a Power Query templates file, just all those examples we just did right now for the built-in AI capabilities. You can play around with those and kind of test those out on your own. But with that, Mike, I believe we may have some time left. Let me know on the timing here if we have any questions that kind of popped up.
Definitely, yeah, we definitely had time for questions. So thanks, Alex, for that.
Yep.
That was awesome. Lot of great stuff in there, and not
Cool.
just stuff that comes with Copilot, right? Some of that stuff you don't need Copilot for. So that's
No, not at all. And I think that we just haven't talked about it enough here, especially with like all these different capabilities. So whether it be column pair, kind of data profiling, or fuzzy merging. What was the other one? Table by example. I think that one is not utilized enough.
yeah, that's amazing. At least I can think of so many hours I could have saved.
Yeah, and even if the file is in text or CSV format, turn it into a text or CSV.
Yep.
And then just, hey, I'm going to rebuild this and I'll kind of update my Power Query at the very end. Maybe turn it into a function, especially if you're going over multiple files in like the SharePoint library. Like, oh my goodness, there's so many great ways that you can kind of apply these different things.
Definitely. Yep.
Awesome.
Any questions from anyone? Feel free to come off of mute or put them in the chat if you have any other questions for Alex about what you've seen or anything that you might be curious about that's on the roadmap.
Hey, Alex, I know that the economics of Copilot is not really your bailiwick, but do you think it will ever be possible to offer Copilot lower than an F64?
Absolutely. So Jack, my thought right now is just the economies of scale.
Yep.
So especially as like GPUs are like very high in demand right now, just as like more of those things become accessible, as models become cheaper, I fully expect like these things to just continue to become available at lower SKU levels or at kind of different entry points. I think for right now, it's just the shortage of certain things, the high demand of other things, like they do kind of have that barrier. But hopefully there will be some pretty good announcements too in the future where they're just trying to make the entry point a little bit more affordable for everyone.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, of course. Love the question too. Power Query or
Especially
Python for ETL?
Fernando. Yeah. There you go.
Oh my goodness, Fernando. Let me see if I have an example here for Fernando. Let me see, Fernando. Give me one moment here. I'm gonna see if I can't track it down one of my notepads. Any more questions that are coming through while I hunt this down? All right, I've got it. Let's try this. So Fernando's trying to start a fight here with all the different data integration stuff that's out there, all these different languages. He's saying, I'm really starting to fall in love with Python. I go, man, Fernando, what's going on here? We've got this SQL database here. Most important rule of them all, as always, is don't break the fold. So we kind of wait for this to pull up. Come on, waiting on it. It's waking up.
It's because you're trying to do a demo. It's always slow.
It's always.
Trying to demo.
I know. And of course, I've been on this AdventureWorks table in a minute, so it's like, what are you doing? I don't think there's anything out there more than a couple thousand rows. But in Fernando's kind of comment here, I'm not going to let this do its thing. So convert the following Python to M. Group by kind of the city. I've got the size. I've got the sort values. I've got this by count. I've got ascending order. My friend and colleague, they love Python. That's their tool of choice. I'm a Power Query person. Oh my goodness. What is it yelling at me about? try it again. Let's try it again. All right, now it's upset. But in some of my demos that I've done in the past, it can take Python, it can convert it into Power Query M. So in those examples, think about just, hey, if you've ever used kind of the GPT, Bing's, OpenAI, whatever it may be, take this SQL statement, turn it into PySpark or Python, take this VBA, turn it into PowerShell. Generative AI is like really good at code conversions. So in this example, kind of using Python, if that was your colleague's preferred language, but you're like, oh my goodness, I'm really comfortable with Power Query. That's kind of like a citizen developer. Use generative AI to convert the code. It doesn't have to be one of the other. Find inventive and fun ways to kind of test the AI and be like, hey, can I work faster, more collaboratively with the tools that I know and love? And then, of course, my colleagues, if they wanted to kind of do the reverse and say, oh my goodness, here's the Power Query M, turn into a SQL statement. They would be able to do that here. So select star from, sales LTD schema from the address table. Like, it's just an amazing time to think about how we can use this stuff collaboratively, kind of in the same sense. And then I'm going to try this one.
Yeah. Could you go the other way? So say you had, say you wanted to go from, I don't know, Power Query to Python. I guess the same sort of thing, right? It's just about trying to convert it from one language to another.
Yep. And then I'm going to see if this other statement works. Translate the following SQL to M. Otherwise, I got to think up of the team and see what they've been building. All right, there we go. Awesome. And then let me go and unravel this here if you don't mind, because it did this crazy statement here, which I have no idea what it's doing. Navigation 1, that's the correct thing. I don't know what that source is. That's a little weird. Cool, cool. Awesome. Top to bottom, maintain folding, translated a SQL statement into Power Query M code as we saw here. And then it did multiple things for us. So it did the group by, then it also did the sorted. So instead of having to do this click, wait for the spinning wheel, and then do this click with the sort, kind of finding it here, and then wait for the spinning wheel, chaining things together. So in this example, it's 2 steps. That could be 3, it could be 10, whatever your imagination is. Having Copilot accelerate your development time in that example. And then let me try again here with the Python, because maybe we'll kind of use the similar here. Right-click the green bubble, copy, translate the following Python to M. I'll kind of use translate instead of what we were doing before, just because maybe that's the missing key here as opposed to convert. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Still not able to. All right, we tried something, didn't work. Tried something else that did work. This one didn't. Just fun to kind of play around with things. Awesome. What else?
So Alex, there's a question on licensing in the chat around F2 versus F64 Copilot.
Yeah. Yep. So let me kind of read the full context here. Can we buy F2, scale up to F64 to run Copilot, and then scale back down to F2? You can, Aziz, but there's a little bit of a delay there in terms of recognizing the SKU change. And I believe that it's multiple hours. So I wouldn't want you to be like, I found a loophole. I would recommend having a pay-as-you-go SKU as like an F64, turning that on, testing some things. Maybe it's like a POC, especially if you're like kind of in a proving kind of use case of, hey, I think Gen AI would help us. Here's how we'd use it with Power BI. Here's how we would use it with Power Query or notebooks or any other kind of capabilities, and then turn it off. Like, find the use case, find the value, make the business case for it. Outside of like spinning up a pay-as-you-go F64, if you have any Azure credits, look into using that too. Is kind of is a good way to like not have to put your own credit card in per se. If you have like enterprise, what is it? Visual Studio licensing, you should get like $150 of credits for Azure kind of monthly. So that could be a good way to just kind of like, hey, I'm gonna use my Azure credits to kind of turn things on, turn things off. But I love the licensing question, Mike. Awesome. Anything else?
Don't
Cool.
see anything else in the chat. Anybody else have anything before we let Alex go?
Well, then I'll kick off the stage here. Let me stop sharing. We'll kind of let you take over, Mike, and kind of take us home here. But just thank you so much, everyone, for kind of the excitement here within the chat and, of course, the questions. I just think it's a very exciting time for a lot of us who are kind of in the data space. So coming together with groups like this, like I'm rebuilding kind of my local user group too here recently, and it's just so amazing to kind of have this type of community available. So hopefully take advantage of it. And, you know, if you're ever interested in speaking to, I know Mike and team would always love to have you up on stage. So thank you, Mike.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Alex, again for that great presentation and for your time. I know you're a busy guy, so appreciate it. All right. So I'm going to take the screen back here and share again. Here we go. Okay. So this is the point where we get into the drawings. So for people that are new to the group, if you're not new to the group, this is basically, we do 2 drawings, I guess a total of 3 drawings each month, 2 for Enterprise DNA and then 1 for Radicad. So basically for Enterprise DNA, it's a lot of people are probably familiar with what they do, but it's an online learning portal. They have a lot of different trainings around Power BI, a lot of things that are, it started off as just a Power BI platform, but now it's more of, they've kind of expanded that beyond Power BI training. You still have Power BI training out there, but in addition to that, you've got Python, SQL, Power Apps, Power Automate. So the whole kind of gamut within the Power Platform, and they're getting more content up there all the time. So really good. And then in addition to that, there's like other resources you can use out there to help you kind of like code repositories, DAX cleanup. There's tools basically that you can use as you develop these things as well. So we're going to do 2 drawings. So the way their subscription works is it's good for 12 months. So if you win, you just have to register with them and you'll have access to their portal for 12 months essentially. And then they audit that and monitor that. And then they're the ones that are kind of, you know, checking if you're up on the 12 months or not. Okay, so with that, let me pull over my list here. So before I drop it in our Wheel of Fortune wheel, I tried to keep up, but I was watching Alex a lot, so I probably missed some people that were still in the meeting or maybe joined late or dropped out. But for the first one here, I've got, this is for Enterprise DNA. Does this look right, or did I miss anybody that's still in the meeting that should be added for Enterprise DNA? And I will also add, if you've won before, that's why you might not see your name here. So if you've won in the past, that I keep track of that basically. So that's why your name's not listed if you've won in the past.
Jack dropped off.
Okay. He's gone.
And maybe Murali. I don't see Murali either.
Murali's gone. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we can start with this list here for Enterprise DNA. And then if Aziz is still there, he's got a great chance of winning because he's the only one left. So you basically won that one. Okay, so let me get here. And clear this out. That was last month. And let's get back to here. Turn this. Oops.
I see Jay.
Sorry, say it again.
Jay,
Did I miss someone? Jade. Okay. Oh, Jade. Sorry. Okay. Okay. All good? Anybody else?
Oh, well, Murali is there. Sorry.
Okay,
I am not doing well here.
that's okay. How does that look? Does it look about right?
Yeah, Arwa. And Fernando's already won, or is that?
Yeah, Fernando's.
And Linda. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. All right, so we'll do two drawings. So here's the first one. Looks like Arwa's got that one. So if you're still there, all we need from you is if you can please drop your email address or contact information in the chat, because we have to get you registered with Enterprise DNA. Did they drop their contact info, Sean? Or you see it? So I don't
Not
know.
yet. Oh, someone's typing though. Yeah, we got it. Thank you, Arwa.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'll take, now we'll do one more here. Looks like Morelli got it. So same thing, Morelli, congrats. We just need your contact info in the chat and we can get you registered. If he's still there.
Yep, we got it.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, then let me take a look at, I think. All right, let me take a look at my list because I think we got a couple more people. So I think we've got, I think Jade and Morali. I don't know if Morali is one for. Let me just get to my cheat sheet. Yeah, okay. And for Jade, so I think Jade's, I don't know if Jade has, I'm not sure about the last name, but I have a Jade winning Enterprise or Radicat before. But Morali has not. So let's start here. Okay, so Jade, have you won Radicat before? I just want to check. If not, we'll just go ahead and go. Okay.
Nope.
We'll just go ahead and spin for this. It looks like Jade's going to get it.
There you go.
Okay. All right, same thing, Jade. Just drop in your contact info and we'll get the details over to the Radicat team to get you set up. All right, then the last thing is, well, I talked about, we did the drawing for Radicat. For Radicat, just so you know what you've won, is for there, you get basically access to Radicat Academy, which is basically run by Reza Rad. So everyone knows Reza that's in this community. A lot of great content that he produces. So you'll get 1 month, a 1 month free subscription to the contents on the Radicat Academy. So that's how their subscription works. And then next month, so yeah, so there's our list of prior winners. So for people that won tonight, you're going to go up here. And next month, we're going to have Akil Rupa. Don't have the topic yet, but he's going to be speaking for us. So if Alex is still there, thanks for the introduction to Akil. So he's volunteered to speak next month. So he'll follow you in the next meeting.
Great.
And that's a wrap for us. So
All right.
just want to say thanks again for everybody. And we'll get this recording posted out to our YouTube channel so you can refer back to it. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Have a good
everybody.
evening.
Have a good day.
Thanks.
All
Bye.
right.
Thanks. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.